Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg was in Washington this week to give testimony before Congress on the recent Cambridge Analytica data leak, which the social network admitted may have affected up to 87 million of its users.
I'm committed to getting this right. This includes the basic responsibility of protecting people's information, which we failed to do with Cambridge Analytica.
Much of the questioning by senators and members of the House aimed for better understanding of how Facebook handles its users' private information in order to determine whether regulation is the answer. Michelle Demoy, the director of the Privacy and Data Project at the Center for Democracy and Technology, is optimistic that a type of regulation is on its way.
There's definitely interest from Democrats that we've heard, probably more so than Republicans, for a baseline privacy law. But like I said, I think there's reason to believe that it could be a nonpartisan effort.
If you want to know some part of what that privacy law could be, you might be able to look to Europe. The General Data Protection Regulation will go into effect there in May, forcing companies like Facebook and Google to make it easier for users to see exactly where their personal data is going, with the government warning of great fines when compliance is not met.
If you want to access what a company has on you, you can request that, and there's a time frame in which they need to get it to you, and it has to include everything. It's the sort of making sure that a person agrees with how their data is collected, how it's used, whether or not it's shared.
Demoy says that since services will already be modifying their platforms to abide with the new EU laws, there may be less resistance to bringing chunks of that regulation to the states. Another hint on regulation that could be coming might have been given away by the number of times Congress members brought up that Facebook's terms of service, the privacy agreement users click OK for when they sign up, is too complicated and needs to be changed.
I say this gently. Your user agreement sucks.
Demoy believes the government could wind up creating easier to understand standards there.
Not just having them buried in lengthy policies, but having graphical elements, visual elements that make it clear, for example, that when you are on Facebook, there are hundreds of eyes looking at your posts. Those can be enacted into law as sort of design standards for all the platforms, so that we're not dealing with it a different way on a different product or service, so that we have certain rules of the road.
Zuckerberg, since the revelation of the Cambridge Analytica data leak, has said his company could be receptive to some form of regulation, and the CEO repeated that sentiment this week in D.C.
So my position is not that there should be no regulation, but I also think that you have to be careful about what regulation you put in place.
Whether lawmakers will actually put that warm welcome to test soon remains to be seen.